as what I expect from Brock Purdy, I just expect him to kind of do what he did last year, at least early on, like as the team's ramping up. I do think that the offense is going to be, I think this is an offensive driven team more so this year than maybe we've seen in this tenure for the 49ers. I really believe that. But I think early on, especially if it's a rainy game, I just want to see Purdy kind of do what he did last year. I'm cool with 190 yards, 70% completion percentage. Get the ball in your weapons' hands. Let them do the work. That's all I expect to see from Purdy. I don't expect him to go win it on his right arm or do anything crazy like that. And I don't think that he's necessarily going to have to do those things. So that's what I want to see from Purdy week one. Now, as the season goes, I do want to see more and more and more from him. I want to see some, higher volume games and that type of stuff. But early on, just ease him in, make it through this game, make sure he gets out healthy. And for the love of God, please tell me the 49ers learned something from that Philly game, because if there's a team that can kind of do what Philly did with that defensive line, it is certainly the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've got pass rushers galore, and you've got Watt against McKivitz all day long. Of course, they should help him out, but why not go at him a little bit? That was my gripe last year, and it was actually my game plan going into the Philly game was go at Hassan Reddick. And the way that you do that is you allow him to flow upfield. Purdy's got great arm angles. That's one thing I like about Purdy. He throws with anticipation, great arm angles. Even if he's got a guy in his face, he can complete screen passes, and let that type of game plan slow the pass rushers down before you start going 7 steps drop, play action, that type of stuff. I would love to see that from the 49ers this week as well.
Yeah, what you're describing, right, is what the Chiefs did to Bosa a little bit last year. And now I think that was a little exacerbated because I think Bosa's entire rush timing was thrown out in that game because they called 2 neutral zone infraction penalties on him within like the first 4 snaps, which was like a weird thing, like, I don't know if they nudge, hey, refs, Nick Bosa lines up in the neutral zone, call it, hey, Nick Bosa lines up in the neutral zone. So they got 2 really good calls on it early to throw him off. I don't know about that, but I agree with you. And I would say also the Steelers front is very underrated. Everybody keeps talking about Watt, and Watt's a phenomenal player. Cam Hayward has been one of the most underrated players out of Ohio State since he came into the league. What an awesome football player. And then Alex Highsmith on the other side is actually very, very good. And I don't think anybody talks about him enough. He's a good player too.
Oh, they get a lot. The question here is, the inside backers, Cole Holcomb, Landon Roberts, can Shanahan somehow get
Roberts
some of his
thumper?
Can he make those guys play coverage a little bit? And if you can probably exploit them. Keanu Neal as well. But it's all going to be about, how accurate can they be? How precise can they be? It's going to be intense rush, tons of energy. And, how efficient can the Niners play? The thing about it is the Steelers start fast and the Niners start slow. And, it's on the road, East Coast, early morning slot. It's like, it's set up for Pittsburgh to win this game for sure. But the 49ers are like 5-1 to win the Super Bowl, and the Steelers are like 50-1.
Right, so, right. They're the better team.
So the Niners are, according to the betting public, are the better team. The question is, how good is this Niner defense? Because in the preseason, you could run on the Niner defense. And is Najee and Warren going to be able to run on this 49er defense like the Niners got ran on in the preseason? And if that's the case, I think the Steelers are for sure going to win. But if the Niners just can stop that run and get Pickett into 3rd and long, I think, they're a better defense and they're a better team than the Steelers played in the preseason. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, I thought the linebacker point was a very interesting one. Watching the game back earlier today, that was pre-ACL Devin Bush in that game. And rookie Devin Bush, now, he's not playing the most perfect game at linebacker, but his speed was definitely evident throughout that game. And you're talking about a Landon Roberts, who's a terrific player versus the run. He's kind of one of those old school backers that New England really likes.
Yeah.
Case in point, New England had him for how many years? He's a great thumper versus the run. He's awesome versus the run. But Landon Roberts is, for years upon years, the scouting report has always been that you can have him in coverage. And then in regard to the Niners defense, I agree, but I think the Steelers offense is getting a little bit underrated. I think, it's funny to me because I see a lot of Niners fans who always love the quarterback sample size, right? They love the quarterback sample size. We can't talk about a quarterback, but they're so ready to say Kenny Pickett stinks. I'm not ready to go there. I thought Kenny Pickett finished the season well. I think if you list his strengths and weaknesses, you're not that different from the guy starting for the 49ers. Now, it's crazy that one went in the first round and one went in the seventh round, but Pickett's got a nice arm. He's very, very good in quick game. He's good outside of structure. He's creative outside of structure. He moves really well. He had issues managing the pocket pretty much last year, and he had issues sometimes getting to 2 and 3 in his progressions at times. He would just bail on plays, and he would try to make something happen off schedule. I think he's pretty good. I don't know. I don't know that he's going to be a star quarterback, but I thought he looked pretty good at the end of last year. And I think the Steelers offense is a little bit slept on. And I do think they have a good rhythm and timing going. At least that's how it looked in preseason. Perhaps that's all fugazi, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think, the thing with Pickett, and I'll tie it into BMAC's question here, but I think the thing with Pickett is, and I talked about this with some of the Steelers content creators that I had on yesterday, but what happens is most people really watch their team. And some people just only watch their team, truthfully. And then there are some people that will watch their team, but they play fantasy football, so they'll catch a game here or there. And then there are people that legitimately watch everybody. And I think if you actually watch Pickett versus box score scouting him and looking at his numbers, which his numbers were atrocious, but you actually watch how he gets it done, I think there are a lot of similarities. And Vish, you credit to you. You're the first one to point that out to me. And then I went and watched and was like, holy crap. Like, if you flip-flop him and Purdy, you might have seen some similar things. Now, I'm still taking Purdy, especially in this offense, because at least I've seen him in the playoffs and I know he can get it done. I don't know that from Pickett yet, so that would be a question mark for me. But as far as like how they execute, I think there are a lot of similarities there. Now, BMAC's question is I don't get what Purdy did for people to question him. BMAC, I don't get how you can't question any quarterback that has only played 7 games. And there's a difference in questioning and putting him down, right? And I think there are certainly a lot of people that I guess perceived to trash on him, which, all right, maybe that's more what you're saying. But to have questions, I just talked about Pickett in a glowing light, said I think he's going to be pretty good, and I think he's actually similar to Purdy, but I don't know if he can get it done in the playoffs. I'm not saying he can't, but that's a question I have for him. Just like for Brock Purdy, I have questions. Has he been down double digits? Has he been forced, has he had a bad game yet and had to come back from that? Those are just little things that you got to see. Has he been in a situation where they need to score with 50 seconds and one timeout? I'm not saying he can't do it, and I don't think anybody should be able to say that he can't do it, but they haven't seen it. So I think questions are